Hello world, welcome or welcome back. I'm Goddess Dawn. It's Saturday, May 18th, 2019, and I'm here today to talk to you about R. Kelly. There have been some new happenings since I last discussed them, so I'm here today to catch us up. And there's a lot to talk about, so let's just get to it. First things first, Tuesday, May 6th, there was a hearing regarding the sexual abuse charges that he's currently facing. It was a 6-minute hearing. Very fast. His attorney Greenberg continues to claim that these claims are nothing more than extortion attempts to get money. And as we all know, R. Kelly has a history of making quiet cash payouts that could play a role in the pending charges. And we're talking about the 10 counts of aggravated sexual abuse charges made by 4 separate accusers. And these charges are over a period of 12 years. But yeah, his attorney, Steve Greenberg, he's sticking to his guns on the fact that he feels that these are extortionate efforts. A lot of people also agree with this. I see the comments in different videos about, the Surviving R. Kelly documentary, or whether it's one of the accusers giving an interview. In the comments, there are always accusations of gold digging and this and that, but it seems to me there's not a lot of gold to be dug. They don't seem to be quote unquote coming up at all. They may have book deals and maybe TV appearances and things of that nature, but this is not long sustaining income. These are flash in the pan kind of efforts as far as public appearances and things like that. So I'm not really sure what they have to gain by putting themselves in this position, making themselves public fodder. But yeah, so in this hearing that took place on May 6th, the prosecution handed over stacks of documents to R. Kelly's attorney Steve Greenberg and his team. And these documents were for 2 of the 4 accusers. Specifically, the records are on his words, supposed extortion efforts, settlement agreements, and so forth. Bank records are also said to have been included in the documentation that was handed over. Greenberg steady claims that it's nothing more than extortion attempts, as I mentioned, and what he's calling alleged inappropriate conduct, which seems to me to be very minimizing of the actual accusations that are on the table. But yeah, the defense is just stating there are no admissions or wrongdoing, and that's in quotes. The defense is attempting to paint Kelly as a victim of predators coming out after him for money, but prosecutors can use the same evidence of alleged hush money payments to show a long pattern of criminal wrongdoing on Kelly's part. Greenberg also stated in court that he wants to view communications between State Attorney Kim Foxx and Michael Avenatti, who is the attorney, or was, I'm not sure what his standing is now, but Michael Avenatti was the attorney who was representing 2 of the 4 accusers in that 10-count indictment. He has since been indicted himself on criminal charges in both California and New York. And this is in regards to, I believe, extortion and some other federal charges regarding some type of malpractice on his part as an attorney. So he's definitely in hot water, but it's not clear how this is going to impact R. Kelly's case. I know in the legal realm it won't have an impact. The only impact it is having is the public perception of Michael Avenatti and whether or not his wrongdoings in his personal life will taint what he's done in this case. He is the person who did hand over one of the sex tapes that were submitted to the state attorney. And Steve Greenberg is insinuating that the exchange of the tape is tainted because Michael Avenatti is tainted. So, and as well as Kim Fox, because she also is in hot water about the Jussie Smollett case with her ethics supervisor having resigned, and this is the person who signed off on the decision to drop the charges. And there's also other accusations from other politicians. She has a lot of political enemies in Chicago, so it's not surprising to me that, you know, the arrows are being shot at her right now. They're trying to just tear down her credibility, and that's very clear. R. Kelly, you know, he's fighting a lot of cases right now, and there was another case where another attorney herself is also being indicted. This came down on her right before she was going to attend a hearing on the R. Kelly case for her client. So it seems to me that there's a lot of backdoor happenings with regard to, you know, Robert Kelly and his cases. You know, he's known to have intimidated witnesses and accusers, pay them off. Death threats are on record by his minions to accusers and accusers' parents, or not accusers' parents, I'm sorry, to parents of the girlfriends that are currently with him now, voluntarily, as we all have seen. With regards to Greenberg, he wants not only communications between Kim Fox and Michael Avenatti, but he also is requesting to view the sex tape or tapes that were submitted. He's been asking for this, you know, I think since they were submitted. And he also, you know, like I said, insinuated to the judge that something's just not right. But the judge wanted him to be more specific. He couldn't be, so the judge told him to work it out with prosecutors or otherwise come back with a more specific request. They're supposed to be back in court on June 26th on this matter. People were asking how Steve Greenberg and his team are being paid, and he basically told them it was none of their business. That comes up because they are also wanting to plead to the judge that R. Kelly can break his bail and travel outside of Illinois for work. They're saying that he's in demand for performances and he can't work, so therefore he can't earn. They haven't yet come back since they took that Dubai request off the table. They requested initially for R. Kelly to travel to Dubai, you may remember, but before the judge could decide or hand down their decision, they took it off the table because they provided very vague information. They didn't have any contracts. They didn't have any dollar amounts that they could provide that he'd be able to, you know, to earn. And then following that, Dubai's council or royal family came back to say that we did not offer any date to R. Kelly, so get out of here with that BS. Now, prior to this particular hearing, R. Kelly lost a civil case to accuser HW by default for not showing up for court. Now, HW is also one of the 4 accusers in the 10-count indictment that he's currently facing for the sexual misconduct charges. The judgment was handed down just on default for him not showing up. And there was a court date set for the judge to award damages to HW based on that default. But R. Kelly's attorney showed up to that hearing to plead that the judgment be vacated because they're claiming that when he went to jail for having $160,000 plus in back child support, he was subpoenaed there. He was given a summons, and he claims that he didn't know what it was, he couldn't read it, and also he was under distress from being in jail. So, you know, he basically is stating that he is incompetent and can't handle his business. So the lawyers were in court on his behalf, and instead of the judge awarding her damages, which is what the hearing was set for, the judge instead is allowing the case to move forward. So he has technically vacated the judgment and now they're able to go ahead and fight the case. So this is yet another case, though it's a civil case, but yet again a legal case that he's fighting. Now, with regard to the child support hearing that had taken place on May 8th, with the same day, Kelly handed over a check for $62,000, which was the back payment that was owed, and that was up to date through May. It didn't cover the fees and the interest, which is in the amount of about $32,000 at this time. And then just recently, a couple days ago, another $40,000 was paid by way of his attorney, and that is to cover him for another 2 months. So he's good through July at this point. But it's going to be $20,000 a month until or unless the judge says otherwise. In the meantime, he and Andrea Kelly's divorce records will be unsealed, and this is per her request. So that'll be interesting to see what actually comes out in those records. It's been sealed all of this time. So we know also that he hasn't seen his kids in 3 years. They say that he changed his number, and this comes from Andrea and the children. Steve Greenberg, as I mentioned, refused to answer how him and his team are being paid. But it is a question to ask, because people say he has money, he stashed it away, you know, blah, blah, blah. But then he puts himself in a position where he's on the edge with regard to going to jail. I don't know that anybody with the money would actually put themselves in a position where they are vulnerable, and it's a risk to play the game that way. So I am not convinced that he does have the money. I feel that there are benefactors involved, whether or not they're loans or people who just want to be in the mix of the world of R. Kelly. Why, I don't know, but you know, he has this effect on certain people, as we see and we have seen in the past, on certain type of people. Now, we can't discard the fact that R. Kelly is still out on that $1 million bond that the restaurant owner slash daycare worker paid for him. So you have to remember, he's still out on bail. He's not just a free man out there walking around. And that bail could be revoked for, you know, anything deemed illegal or anything against, you know, what his rules are. So he can't leave the state, and, you know, he has to be a stand-up citizen at this point. So I don't know, you know, what's going on behind closed doors at Trump Tower. We haven't seen or heard anything really from the girls. I'm talking Azriel Clary, Joyce Lynn Savage specifically. From what we were informed, there's more than just the two of them as far as the girls are concerned. I'm not sure if any of them have been displaced or, you know, relocated at this time. You would think with all of this heat on him that R. Kelly would, you know, do the smart thing and separate himself from, you know, the people who you would think are bringing him down. But, you know, R. Kelly has also shown us that he's just not that guy. He's not going to make those right decisions. He's going to live in his lower self. He's going to make decisions that, you know, are cocky and self-serving. You know, he wants to project a certain image, and that's understandable. But I think for all these years, he's been serving a part of himself that has gotten kind of too big for its own britches, and now he kind of has to pay the piper when it comes to being accountable for some of these things that, you know, he's done that have been harmful to others. Whether or not you want to believe one or any of the accusers that he has, not only in the R. Kelly docuseries, but, you know, through just the court records itself, that's up to you. And you might want to do some self-reflecting and try to understand why you are supporting someone who clearly has been a disgusting person. For you to support a disgusting person, you know, doesn't really take you too far from that moral compass yourself. So, if that makes sense. There's a new documentary called Surviving R. Kelly, The Impact. It quietly aired on May 4th at 10 o'clock, which I missed. I didn't even hear about it. I knew it was coming, but I just didn't know it had come out. I tried to watch some of it after finding out about it. It didn't hold my interest, to be honest. You know, I didn't really watch Surviving R. Kelly, the initial docuseries, knowing what I was even getting into while watching it, but it was so mind-blowing. This pretty much was just a follow-up on the impact that has happened since it aired, and I've kind of covered a lot of the stuff, so to me it was just kind of rehashing old stuff. I'm gonna finish watching it because I don't want to count it out before I actually finish watching it. I think I got into it maybe about 30 minutes. But, you know, the impact of the docuseries has been great, and that goes along with, you know, the Me Too movement also being in effect at this time. I know there are a lot of people, including women, which is surprising to me, but who, you know, posh the Me Too movement, and they demonize it and saying that it's tearing down, you know, black men or men who aren't worthy of this type of attention. But look, you know, these are serious allegations that are being spoken about, accused, handed down, and these should not be overlooked. You have to really think about it as if it could be yourself or someone you love and you want them to be protected. You have to have empathy and, you know, try to remove yourself from your own experiences, open up your mind a little bit, and understand that people are hurt in this world. And a lot of times there are definitely predators out there who are taking advantage of people. And we're at an age now where we're speaking out, especially women. We're speaking out, and you know, we are wanting the same respect and due that men get in this world. And we are the weaker sex physically, but, you know, it doesn't mean that we are to be preyed upon and taken advantage of and just, you know, just used and abused. You know, that time is over. So with that being said, if you don't like it, then I suggest you just, you know, continue living in your bubble with R. Kelly and have fun with that. Now, his daughter, the oldest daughter, I think Joanne is her name. She supposedly had to drop out of college due to the lack of financial support from R. Kelly. That was in the headlines recently. People are questioning that because he is coming up with the money, you know, lately with the court payments. And that, but being that he hasn't spoken to them in 3 years, it seems to me that there's no relationship. He probably doesn't feel any type of responsibility towards her or the other children. So just yesterday, Friday, May 17th, a grand jury hearing took place with Faith Rogers. And this grand jury hearing could reportedly get him indicted for tax evasion and sex trafficking. There are more witnesses that are going to be called forth within the next few days, I think they said. The response from R. Kelly and his team is that he blames the devil. That's R. Kelly's last desperate line of defense after it was revealed that Faith Rogers, one of the singer's alleged victims, who appeared on the Surviving R. Kelly documentary, has testified against him in front of a federal grand jury. This is from thedailybeast.com. Kelly's crisis manager, Daryl Johnson, told TMZ, Mr. Kelly feels like the devil is working overtime in an effort to try to destroy his musical legacy for selfish personal enrichment. Yes, R. Kelly thinks the devil is out to get him. While the details of Rogers' testimony remains unknown for now, she has previously alleged a disturbing litany of abuse at the hands of Kelly, whom she met after a concert in San Antonio in 2017. In a lawsuit filed in New York Supreme Court, Rogers claims that Kelly sexually assaulted her in a hotel room 2 months after their first meeting. She alleges that it was non-permissive, painful, and abusive sex, and that afterward he criticized her for lack of participation. She also claims he plied her with alcohol despite being underage. The lawsuit also alleged that Kelly infected Rogers with herpes after failing to disclose he had an STD. She also told the news network that Kelly recorded their first sexual encounter without her consent. After she was featured in Surviving R. Kelly, her lawyers claimed that Kelly sent a notarized letter to a lawyer representing her, which she said contained promising photos of her. The letter allegedly stated if she persists in court, she will be subjected to public opinion, and Kelly would request 10 personal male witnesses testifying about her sex life. And I think this is the lawyer that got this from him, that herself got indicted before this hearing could take place on the herpes and stuff. It had been misreported or miscommunicated that she lost that case, but that case was still in motion. So it's just yet another case that he's fighting. Another interesting update is that there's a reporter, his name is Jim DeRogatis. He has been on this R. Kelly case since the very first trial in 2008 for nearly 20 years. And this is coming from theglowup.com. For nearly 20 years, no one in the media knew more about R. Kelly's trail of alleged abuse than journalist Jim DeRogatis. Now with this forthcoming book, Soulless, The Case Against R. Kelly, DeRogatis tells the story behind his explosive reporting and why for nearly 20 years few people seemed to listen to black women and girls who said Kelly was a predator. This book is going to launch in New York City on June 4th, and it's going to launch with a discussion featuring DeRogatis and the Me Too creator, Tarana Burke. And everybody, Tarana, if you don't know, is a black woman, so please don't come talking down on the Me Too movement as a white cause. Soulless tells the story of this reporting, but also explores the ways Kelly was enabled by celebrity media and the music industry, whom DeRogatis has frequently called out for not taking sexual assault claims of black women seriously enough. And for me, that kind of is the bottom line as far as this whole R. Kelly situation, is the fact that it's black girls, black women who are being disregarded when it comes to people supporting R. Kelly and not even listening to the people who have been victimized, allegedly victimized under his regime. I mean, I feel like, he's just gotten away with these things for so long, and people want to continue to say, why are you just now saying something? It's been 20 years ago. These things have happened up to recently. One of these cases, as I mentioned, is from 2017, or it's from someone he met in 2017, Faith Rogers. This was just a couple years ago. He's still doing these things. I wouldn't be surprised if he's still doing the same things now, recruiting girls, bringing them into his space to abuse and victimize and use his power over. That's what he's been doing all this time. People are just letting him get away with it, and because finally someone's standing up, people are standing up and other people can't deal with it. But this is that time. The founder of the Me Too movement, Tarana Burke, she's a black woman. So people, I've seen people comment things that the Me Too movement is a white cause. It is absolutely not a white cause. It is a woman cause. And as a woman, you should be ashamed of yourself for speaking downward on such an amazing movement. It's been a long time coming since women have had this type of voice, these type of platforms, and we are to be celebrated. And I think R. Kelly is the anti-Me Too, and that's why he's, under the gun the way he is right now, and it's a long time coming. Agree or not is facts. I found it interesting also that R. Kelly's PR guy, Daryl Johnson, he said that, according to TMZ, R. Kelly is not where he wants to be in life at this present moment. However, every indication shows that he is headed in the direction of a positive outcome. He feels that when you are very focused, people try to take you down. He's very confident that in the end, he will be proven innocent. Well, I find it interesting that there's, the comment is, every indication shows that he is headed in the direction of a positive outcome. Every indication. So that's really a broad blanketed statement saying that everything looks good on our end. I don't see how he could make such a statement. It just puts him in the same bed as the attorney, Steve Greenberg and R. Kelly, and they just all seem to be speaking as if they're wishing and not speaking facts. Everything on paper, in these legal documents, in the past court documents also show that R. Kelly has a pattern. He is definitely somebody who is not innocent. So, I don't know. The fact that he said that is just laughable. And it's also pretty arrogant to make these type of statements when you got all of these things coming at you left and right. And these are not a joke. These are federal indictments, federal investigations. There's yet another investigation, as a matter of fact, happening in Illinois. It's a new case separate from the ones that we're talking about. More witnesses are expected to provide testimony in the grand jury hearing that Faith Rogers testified in yesterday. And there are also reportedly numerous cases being built against R. Kelly for tax evasion, obstruction of justice, and sex trafficking. And these are very, very serious offenses, very serious accusations. So it's not just, you can't just say he's innocent of what, of which. Like, there's so many things. You can't just blanketly say, oh, he's going to get out of this. It's out of what? Out of which ones? There's a lot of things happening. And to make those kind of statements, it just sounds really silly. So only time will tell, though, and we'll see how this all plays out. I'm going to stay with it as I have been. I might not be posting as frequently, but I'm still here. I'm still around. I just, my clientele has really boosted because of this platform. And I'm very appreciative and thankful to everyone who has reached out and who's thinking about reaching out. Go ahead and email me or inbox me on Instagram. If I take a while to get back to you, my bad. Better yet, check my emails. That's probably the best way to reach me. Until R. Kelly decides to operate in a higher key, in a higher vibration, because right now he's in his lower self, and that's where he's been slithering around for the past however many years. So, this is what happens on the underbelly of a snake when it slithers and doesn't, he hasn't taken accountability. He hasn't, shown any type of humility. So this is an inevitable, this is a lesson really for all of us to do the opposite of what R. Kelly is doing and has done. Stay on the right path, stay on the right side of things, be the better person, vibrate higher, keep good energy around you, positive energy, people, and, your situation will match what you're putting out there. So just, as long as you stay good on the good side of stuff, you should be good. If you're attracting negative things and bad things are happening to you, what you consider bad things, you really need to just take a look at yourself, some self-reflection. And it's also important to take a look at yourself while you're in action. Introspection while in action is very powerful. Watching yourself as you actually are playing your role out in this world and just observing, taking notes, and giving guidance. That's what your inner self is here for, and your soul is waiting to be connected. Go ahead and say hello. I have meditations on my platform. They all can be very helpful when wanting to activate your spirit and get your soul in a good place. I'm going to leave it here. Thank you so much, as always, for stopping through and checking me out. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, and like this video so I know you came by. And of course, feel free to comment. I'm always here for the comments. And again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Till next time, peace.